The American housing market right now, it's not at its best at all. It is very hard. And for those of you who are seeking homes or thinking about seeking homes, I'm going to tell you my experiences that I has been going through for the past about 2 years, I would say. I haven't really been stepping into looking in the past 2 years. Like in 2022, I didn't look at all. But in 2021, I did take a peek because I was trying to close on this one property. However, it was December of 2021. And it wasn't at the hope of me really trying to obtain it. I was trying to offset some capital gains that I got from an equity payout. Where equity payout, the way it goes is that it's taxed as ordinary income. So in order for you to offset that, you gotta have something to put it against. And when you do a new home acquisitions, the cost for you to acquire that mortgage, it is a tax deductible event. That's why the first year you purchase a home, you'll see that you get a nice deduction or money back from your income tax. So foot on the ground, I recently was in contract for a property. I saw it inside of this area. It's called North Bergen, New Jersey. It's a very nice area. Literally, right around the corner, you'll see home for 1.5, even close to the $2 million ranges. And a lot of their multifamilies are like going for 800, 900,000. This one was a single family. I was trying to tap into. The price of it was 545. I offered them 520. I kept the 545, but I offered them 520, but I wanted a 25,000 seller concession. You don't really need that much in New Jersey. I probably needed maybe 15,000 out of that because I remember when I purchased mine right now, I offered 575 and I only needed about 15,000 and I closed out at 590. I pretty much paid for my own closing costs in a sense, right? That's the way to do it inside of the real estate market. They don't tell you that, but that's the way it works. You offer a little higher than the actual price that the seller wants, so that way there's nothing coming out of their end. It's really from your end that you're putting a higher cost for the mortgage and such. It's completely legal to do that. It's just on paper, that's how it's regarded. So I went in, got inspection done literally right away. Right, went back and forth because I knew for a fact I'm not making this as an emotional decision. This is not a single family I'm going to go into. Oh, it's going to be my family. We're going to be living great in this nice area, and so forth, so forth. That's not the case. The area is tough with parking, but I look at that as a plus because when there's not as much parking in an area, typically it means that people are working class. It's a very intense population there and everything, and people are moving. I typically associate that with higher rental costs pretty much. Right down the line, I know that if I'm renting this out that I can probably get a higher rent than in most areas. Like if you look in Manhattan and New York, there's never any parking, so it's horrible, and that's where the highest rental costs are. The less parking you find, to me, the higher the cost of rent is for a particular area. So went in, got the inspection done. Literally a few days later, inspector got back to me. I also did a sewer inspection, make sure the pipes weren't messed up. It was fine. It was clay pipes though. I've never heard of clay pipes. I knew nothing about that. Clay pipes are heavy. It seems like it is able to sustain a lot of damages from the ground and such. However, when it comes to repairing that, it's no easy task. It's not like even cast iron. Cast iron is easier to maintain actually than clay pipes. Clay pipes are pretty heavy. The easiest one, of course, out of them all is PVC pipes. A lot of people can do that themselves. It's just putting things together and then make sure you put the liquid around it that dries up and make sure everything is nice and tight. So it didn't have any of that. It was just all clay. After I went through that, checked out, inspection, a lot of water damages. And I saw, stains and such, but I was just like, maybe it's fine. It's not going to be that drastic, right? Maybe it's stuff I can just like really repair myself and all that. But no, when the inspector did all his run-throughs, there was just way too many. When bathrooms are not installed properly, the installations are not done properly, as well as the underlying is not waterproof properly, it causes a lot of these leaks to happen and therefore run through your house. And you're going to have to keep repairing it. You're going to have to keep patching things up. It's kind of like putting duct tape and glue, and it's not going to last a long time because it wasn't done properly, right? It wasn't really nicely installed. So that's one problem. And they have 4 bathrooms in that house. The one in the basement I wasn't too worried about. It's really the upper ones, which is where would be more of my living space. Because that's where the money's at, right? That's where you really want to make sure it shines when you're doing appraisals or anything like that. So they weren't done properly, and I'm not sure even if the plumbing was done properly, because it seems like there were some things that were loose. Plumbing I know a lot more about now, so I'm comfortable. If it's above ground plumbing, I'm good. It's really the main line which I have a little bit of trouble with. But when it comes to connecting from the main line to like the bathrooms and all that stuff, I'm good with. The only plumbing I don't touch is the toilet. I'm not too sure how to do the wax thing and all this stuff. So I've learned a little bit of handiness along the way, and I encourage you as a landlord for you to step into that. So I offered them 60,000 to, because that was the damage. The chimney was completely done. The boiler was like 35 years old, and installing a new boiler is about $8,000. So you do the math, and then with 3-4 bathrooms, I was like around 32,000. All that up came up to about 32,000. New roofing in one area of the house too was completely not good. It was leaking down, and that's where they had a half bath, which was nice because it was linked to the backyard. Like, you had a half bath, so people don't have to go inside of your house when you're having a little get together in the backyard and everything. But it didn't pan out. After I offered them that 60, they came back with 3,000. I was like in a bit of shock, but I'm not making no emotional decision. This is all numbers for me. If the numbers don't add up, then it's a no-go. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it did not affect me, because I've been really looking around since end of April of this year, 2023. I didn't look in 2022 because I'm self-employed. I needed 2 years of tax returns in order for me to qualify for ordinary mortgages. That's your conventionals, FHAs, and things like that. Investment loans, you could do any time. You just need 25% down. As long as the house income is making more than the mortgage cost, then you're good. You could get that investment loan. However, if it's not, then you can't do it. And you don't even need qualifying income as well, versus the other ones you do. And that's why you need the 2 years history to be able to do that. So April, and we are now in August, right? So August is the 8th month, and April is the 4th. So I've been poking around 4 months. This is the first one I've gotten to contract with for about a year. The inspection cost me about $1,000. It was like $575, I think it was, for the regular inspection, and it was like $495 for the sewer inspection. I should have not done the sewer inspection. First, I didn't know it was as expensive as it is now. The last time I did it was around $300, so I was just like, oh yeah, it's gonna be a few $100s. But no, price has really gone up, and it's someone I already knew, so I didn't even ask him. I forgot to ask him, how much it's gonna cost, to see if it's gonna be worth it beforehand. But don't make that mistake. I think you should do the general inspection first before you do the sewer, oil tank sweep, and all that stuff. But my regular inspector actually does oil tank sweeps all together. So for him, it made sense for him to do all that. It was like an extra maybe $50 charge. But I think the sewer inspection, where they take the camera and stick it inside of the main line to see what's going on, that connects all the way to the city line, that's the one you want to make sure that it's all good. So that's that. Yeah, so I felt a little bit defeated. I'll be honest with you, right? I know the housing market is tough. In 2016, December 2016, I remembered the first time I went to sit down with a lender to see how much I can qualify for. And he was like, yeah, you could afford $750,000 of home. Now, 2017 is when I really started. Well, actually, 2016 is when I really started getting closer to God. 2017, a lot of things in my life has changed, and it pushed my housing plans to a back burner. I was not going to do it right. I'll be honest. If I had acquired a property 2016, around then, 2017, it wouldn't have been right situation for me. And this is what God was trying to protect me from. So nothing there. And then 2018, I started poking back around again. This was in Brooklyn, New York. It's very expensive over there. I could afford many 2-family homes, of course, but I would still have to pay about $1,500 to $2,000 in a mortgage, even if I rented out, the 2 units that were available. So financially, it did not make sense. But coming in New Jersey was a different ball game, right? It changed things a lot much more. The houses were cheaper, and of course the risk was much lower. For the amount I can acquire for rent, it was going to be able to offset a lot much more than me having to come out of pocket for $2,000. So it made a lot much more financial sense. And not until 2019 that I actually purchased this. So if you do the math, that's like 2.5 years. About 2.5 years, from 2017 to 2019. And it felt like it was kind of forever. I felt like I kept getting the door shut to my face over and over. A lot of sellers were disrespectful. Some of the sellers' agents were disrespectful. It was tough. I remember one house, They wanted 800,000. I offered 700,000 because the $800,000 price point didn't make sense. And they were like, yeah, you could get 2,500 per unit here, but I'm like, yeah, but the mortgage is still like close to $6,000, so I'm still under. Like, am I supposed to at least break even so that way I can still be able to save up for the repair costs, because repairs ain't cheap. Like, you're coming out of pocket sometimes 15,000, 20,000 for repairs. You're like the insurance policy, but of course, if it's over like that $15,000-$20,000 mark is when you want to ask the insurance company to step in, because it's worth it. Because every time you do a claim, your insurance policy is going to go up. But it didn't make sense. The guy countered me from that $800,000 points to 799. It was crazy. It was just like, yeah, I'm not budging, dude. Like, you got the wrong place. So it didn't make sense. So I gave up on Brooklyn and I came to Jersey. Literally that November I told the realtor I was working with, I need to find another realtor within your company, but in New Jersey. We went ahead and literally the month after it went to contract. First day wasn't too good. The house was in bad shape. It needed quite of repairs, but it was huge. It had like 5 units. Well, really 4, right? It was a legal 4, but I could have made a 5th unit kind of situation, which would have been great for like an Airbnb thing. And this was before Airbnb enforced a lot of their policies. The cities, a lot of the counties enforced them to do their policies. So I had a lot of vision for that property, but that wasn't the one for me. And then next thing you know, that one I spent maybe $1,500 on inspections, didn't pull through. I didn't give up. I kept on going, and the next one I found was this one that I'm living at now. I literally spent 2 hours chatting with the seller. We had a good talk, and when I did the inspection, the inspector was like, "This house is in really good shape. They took good care of it." Even with the inspection report, there was only about 7,500 in damages, right, in repairs that had to be made. They decided to do it on their own, which is fine. Like, if they didn't do it to the best of their tea, it's all right. And it was fine. Like, they didn't do a lot of things to the best of their tea. But at least 7,500 is doable, right, compared to 60,000. So I went with it, and we had a good chemistry. That's one thing, too, is like you have that good chemistry with the seller. I think is very important as well. When it comes to like the negotiation. And they did everything. They even got the termite things set up, because that's required by the lender in order for you to actually like get the mortgage. So I'm like, dang, am I ever gonna find something like that? The market has been tough since then. In 2021, I tried to get something. In 2021 I tried to get something and it didn't pull through. In 2020 I tried to get something, it didn't pull through. So I'm just being patient on God's timing, right? It's something that many of us struggle with, especially when we see other people's are gaining, they're benefiting, they're gaining ahead, they're being more successful, and then you're still out here not on your next one. Like, I'm still on my first property, right? And I've been in the real estate market since 2016. It's 2023. It's about to be 7 years. And does it feel a little sad? Yeah. I'm like, dang, why I only have one property now? I've been poking around. But I've been able to build a lot of investments as well in the meantime. And my goal is to get one property a year. That was my goal. My plan is to get at least one per year. But God may have bigger plans for me. Like, it may seem like I don't get that one once a year, right? I'm still on one, and it's been 7 years. And then next thing you know, investments grow like crazy. The market changes and shifts, and it creates a lot of opportunities where I'm able to get 14 within 1 year, right? My point of me telling you that sometimes God's plan is way bigger than your plan when you can imagine. Even this home that I'm in right now, it's such a great blessing that it was at the perfect timing, because I was originally looking only in Brooklyn, and the situations, the times I was trying to get the homes, it would have not been good for me at all. The people I would have had around, it would have not been good. But God cleaned all that up, and He provided for me at the right time, that He knew I was going to be protected, safeguarded, and He provided the right tenants that circled, even when I had troubles at times, tenants that left and came and left. He still provided and guided me throughout every step and process. So really trust in God. Be patient very much. Seek that counsel. Do your analysis, of course. Stay inside of the market to see what's going on, what's happening. I'm always looking around for real estate deals to see what I can find. I mean, nothing is popping up yet that seems good and honest, to be completely frank with you, but I'm being very optimistic and waiting for the opportunities to be. But I'm most importantly waiting on the Lord's, on God's timing, because it's very crucial for our success, that I feel. Not everyone, I'm sure, that may be watching this is a believer, right? I'm sharing what works for me. It may not be something that you're familiar with, but I do encourage you to get into the Word, get into the Scriptures, because it's something that really transformed my life, the way I look at life and how things are. A lot of the investment opportunities that was mentioned in Genesis, I remember the story of Joseph. He had that dream: 7 years of famine, 7 years of glory, then 7 years of famine, and then it was 7 years of restoration, right? Pretty much, look what happened in 2021. Stock market was flourishing and booming and all this stuff. And now, for those that diligently saved and did things correctly, now the things that we're going through, they're being able to buy into a lot of these cheap investments, right? In the market that we're seeing now. If gold is your thing, get into gold. If crypto is your thing, get into crypto. Stocks is your thing, get into stocks. If mutual funds is your thing, get into it, right? It's not me giving you financial advice, but see what works for you. Do your own research and all that stuff. I'm dipping all around. I'm not touching gold, though. It's not something I see. I'm more into crypto, stocks, and then mutual funds. But do what works for you and to be able to build up from there. Don't let go of your visions and where you're trying to go. Of course, stay in it. God wants us to partner up with him, right? We still got to try. We can't just be like, oh, God, I'm just going to sit back and wait on you to provide me everything. He doesn't work like that. You also got to put in the effort. So I do encourage you to try to do that as much as you can. So I hope you found this insightful. This is me just sharing some encouragement to you. The market is tough. It's beating a lot of people up. Do not get discouraged, right? Stay strong. Keep your financials together. Try to find different tactics for you to grow your money, right? Invest in areas where you can. If you see real estate is not happening for you right now, the only thing you can do is grow the money. It's one thing to work for the money and just save that up. But then when it starts growing and then you have a multitude, an amplified, a multiplied amount from what you originally put in, then you can get those real estate deals, more of them than you originally thought that you could if you just like saved up the original money that you got from your employer. So don't just work and save and stash and think that's all you can do. You can invest and build and grow in that way. So find some encouragement in yourself. It's tough sometimes, right? Being disappointed after disappointment and wasting money on inspections, but stay persistent. Keep strong. Seek that counsel. Trust in Jesus. Have an amazing one. Peace and love. Of course, also, like, if you found this insightful to you, if you want to encourage someone with this, definitely share it. Subscribe, of course, for all future content that I'm going to be sharing with you. If you have any questions for me, just drop in the comment below. You can also email me, hustle@luxtreaux.com, for any questions you have. I'm on all the social medias, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. It's the same handle, Luxtreaux Hustle. You can reach out to me on any of those platforms. Peace and love. Have an amazing one. Hustle, 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 stay.